Hello, welcome to a new video from apasoft.training. My name is Sergio, and during this video I am going to tell you how Oracle 21c database can be installed inside a Docker container. We will also learn how to see that the installation has been satisfactory and see that it works correctly. Well, this video is going to be basically divided into the following sections. First, we are going to see an introduction to what Oracle Container Registry is, which is the site where we can download the Docker images of Oracle products. We will see how we can download the specific image of Oracle 21 Express, which is a free database that we can use at no cost. Then, we will see how to create a container from the image we have downloaded, and finally we will verify that the installation, that is, that the container is working correctly and that the database has been installed satisfactorily. Well, the first thing we are going to see, as I told you, is going to be an introduction to what is called the Oracle Container Registry, where, as I mentioned, we have available a series of images about Oracle products. First of all, tell you that you have to have a free Oracle account that you can open at any time, and with that account is the one with which you can then download the Docker image with which you can create a database inside a container. Well, once you have created that free user account, you can come to this URL that is Container Registry Oracle.com, where all the images of Oracle products are located. Some of you may ask, well, why aren't these images inside Docker Hub? That is, within the global registry that Docker has. Very simple, because companies like Oracle, which have their own infrastructure and use their own products, have their own repositories to store, to house the Docker images that they can offer to the public or to the companies. Another important thing that we have to take into account with respect to this repository, this registry of image containers, is that we can use it for free as long as we are going to do development or testing, that is, self-train, do development examples and things like that. We can use the products that are here in a way, let's say, for free. It's the same as if we downloaded them from the website and installed them separately. For example, let's suppose you want to download an Oracle WebLogic. Well, you can download the product itself, the WebLogic itself, and install it from free if you use it for development or testing purposes. You can also download the Docker image and be able to use it for free, as long as you only dedicate it to development or self-training issues. That is, if at any time you try to use this image for something commercial, you obviously have to acquire or buy an Oracle license. Well, once we are inside this registry, if we go down here, we see that we have grouped the different products offered by Oracle, such as the databases, Golden Gate, Java, middleware, MySQL, etc. There are quite a few here, and in each of them you have a group, a set of repositories that would allow you to download a product of that type. So, in this case, for example, since what we want is to install a free database, we come here to Database, and within the database type, we are going to find different products that we can download, from Enterprise Database to Free Database to products such as the RRAC cluster or what would be, for example, Connection Manager, etc. Here we could download the Enterprise version, that is, the image to have an Enterprise version of Oracle. If we go a little further down, here I have two entries that are specifically Express and Free. The Express has a 21c version and the Free has a 23AI version. As of the 23, Oracle has changed the name for its free database, and now instead of calling it Express it calls it Oracle Free. It is very similar to the previous one, with the limitations that Oracle's free databases have, in terms of memory, resources, etc., but let's say that depending on the release you want, you can download one or the other. Well, let's suppose that I want to install an Express, an Oracle 21c. I would go in here, inside this repository, and inside, I would have the different versions that I can download. In this case, I can have a single version, for example in this case 21.3.0, etc. I can have multiple versions. It will depend a little on the type of image I want to download. If you notice, the Docker image that I can download is going to be called with the name of the registry, which I remember was Container Registry Oracle.com, then the name of the group, in this case database, and finally the name of the product, in this case Express 2130. Possibly, if you watch this video in a few months, you will have a different version. Usually, below, It gives you an example of the properties it supports, for example, if it is necessary to put a password or anything else, and usually, down here, we also have some examples that we can use to build this container. If I go back, and instead of the Express version, I enter the free version, I can see that it is more or less the same. It tells me that it is an AI database, which is how Oracle calls them now, and well, in this case it would be more or less the same. We would have to point to the name of the container, database group, and then in this case I only need the free tag. In short, basically, you would have to look at that product that interested you, and once you have entered in its page, for example in this case I am in the Express version, I would see how we have the image, what the image is called, and what properties I need to implement in order to create a container based on that image. Well, from the next few minutes we are going to see how we can create an image of this type. But remember, first of all, before continuing, you have to have a free Oracle account to be able to download the image. If you don't have an account, you will get an error because you do not have authorization to download and use the image. Well, let's now see a real example of how we can download that image. In this section, we are going to learn how to download the Oracle Express image. Well, once we have registered and before we can download any image from this registry, we have to log in against it. That is, we cannot download it directly as an anonymous user because it will give us an error, so we will have to log in with the user we have used to create the Oracle account. Well, how can we log into this registry? Very simple, we write the Docker command with the login option, and here, what we will have to do is copy this URL, this name, in this case container, registry, Oracle, com. So if I come here, I'm going to copy it and I'm going to paste it in the terminal. As always, all the commands I am going to do during this video will be available in the resources of the video itself, so you can download them and you can use it then directly without having to type them. Well, if I hit the Enter key, I have to write the name of the user I used to create the Oracle account, which in my case is this, which is my email account. Well, and now it is going to ask us for the password. Be careful because since relatively recently, we can no longer put the password of this user to be able to log in. That is, in the past we put the username and password that I had and that's it, but in this case I need to have a token. Now it no longer goes in the password, but I need a token in a similar way to what we have on GitHub and other products. How do I get this token? Very simple, within the website I have the possibility of generating a token. In fact, notice, at the time of making this video, it is still warning me that from June 30th, 2025 Docker, Podman, etc., the customers will not be able to log in with a password, but will have to use an authentication token. How do I get this token? Very simple, I come here to my user, here on the top right, and you see that it says auth token. If I select this option, it will take me to a window where I can generate this key. If I select it here, you can see that I can even see it, but normally I just have to copy it. Be careful, this password or token expires from time to time and I have to generate a new one to be able to enter. So, I tell it here that I want to copy it, I go back to my command line and paste it directly into the password field. If everything is correct, and I have not been wrong, you see that it will tell me that the password is going to be saved in the user you are in at the moment and tells me that the login has been satisfactory. Therefore, I would already be logged into the Oracle registry. For now, what should I do? I have to download the image I want to use. I go back to the website and remember that here I have a huge amount of products of all kinds. As I am interested in the database, I am going here, and as what I want within the databases is the free Express or free type, it doesn't matter, select the one you want, because in the end, the work philosophy is the same. I am going to select the Express edition, which is very possible that it is the one you have in production within the company. So, notice that this is the name of the image. It is called Container, Registry, Oracle, Com, Database Express, etc. As I told you, it is possible that in a few months this version may have changed, but for now this is the one that works. So, I would have to use this command that you have here. Docker pull and then the name of the image. Here I'm basically going to copy the name of the image, go back to command line, and paste the image into it. If everything is correct, then this will start downloading the image, which will take a long time. I warn you, because it occupies approximately 11 gigabytes. So, I'm going to pause the video until it's over and continue as soon as it's finished. Well, once the image has finished downloading, we can put the Docker images command to verify that indeed, as we see here, this image has been downloaded satisfactorily. We see that it occupies 11 gigabytes, which is quite large, but we have to take into account that the Oracle database is a very heavy product. In this section, we are going to see how we can create a Docker container based on the image we have downloaded in the previous step. Well, once we already have our image, we can start creating containers based on that image. And how are we going to do it? Here, I have prepared the command that I am going to explain point by point, and that as you have, as I tell you, in the resources of the video. First of all, we write the docker run command that allows us to create a container. Then, the -d option is for it to run, let's say, in background mode, so that I can continue working in the terminal and the container is running in background mode. I'm going to put the name that I want to give to the container, which is Oracle DB. With the -p option, we indicate the Oracle ports. Basically, it needs two, the 1521, which is the standard port through which the database is accessed, and the 5500, which is the port through which a graphical web tool called Enterprise Manager Express is accessed, which is the one that will allow us to work in graphical mode with an Oracle Express database. So, these two ports must be activated. As you can see here, I have mapped them with the same port inside the main machine. That is, in this case, this is the port to be used on the main machine, and this is the port to be used in the container. If you have these ports already occupied because you have other Oracle databases, then you simply have to change it for the one you want. Then, a very important thing is to set the password for the administrator users, which are basically the sys user and the system user. We need to put a password for them. In this case, with the -e option for environment, I tell it that I want a password called secret. You can create more environment variables, more configurations on this container, on this image. In fact, if I go, let's say, to the registry and I see the information, the documentation of this image, I can verify here that I can pass several variables, like the name of the container, the port, etc. In this case, you see, is the password that we are going to give to the administrators of Oracle, sys, system, and PDB admin. I have others variables, such as Oracle charset, volumes that I can associate with it, etc. But for now, this would be enough. Basically, the information of the administrator's password is enough for create the container. And then, I have to put the name of the image as we have downloaded it, which is container, registry, Oracle, com, database express, etc. You only have to copy this whole command, paste into the command line and launch it. Remember that these commands are exactly the same in Linux as in Windows. There is no difference because they are Docker commands, and therefore, you don't have to adapt them on a Linux, on a Mac, or on a Windows. But if everything is correct, he will have created the container for me. If I execute the command docker ps, here I can verify that I indeed have a container. I am going to make the screen a little bit bigger, because it's quite a bit of text. You see that I have a container that is based on this image, and that is called Oracle DB. Notice that it says, starting. In fact, I can execute the command docker logs and the container name, in this case Oracle DB, to check what it is doing underneath. Then, I can see that it already tells me that the database is ready to use. If I clean the screen now and make a docker ps again, it will surely tell me that the database is working. It says, healthy. So, we already have a container that has an Oracle image running inside Docker. In this section, we are going to see how we can check that our Docker container is working correctly. How can we prove that this image is indeed working properly? Very simple, we are going to get inside the container with the docker exec it command, the name of the container, that is Oracle DB, and the bash command. With this, I log inside this container and inside the Linux shell that I'm working with. The IT option is basically for entering interactive mode. So if I now execute the sqlplus command, which is a command line program to be able to work with Oracle, followed by the system user and the password that I used when creating the container, which in my case was secret, I will have entered the database without problems. It does indeed tell me that I am connected to an Express Edition database, release 21, etc. In other words, I have indeed connected to this database without problems. So I'm going to get out of the SQL, get out of the container, and go back to my operating system. As you can see, it has been quite easy to create a container based on an Oracle image. Well, I hope you liked it and see you in the next video.